They're on record today for a number of matters. First, on the docket and available for, I think we're all ready for, I should say, is the pre-trial as it relates to Tiffany Kapoor. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Lee Heiss, lawyer guardian ad litem.
Your Honor, William Amadeo, P76194 for the department.
Samara Hennigan, on behalf of Mother Tiffany Kapoor.
Thank you. Mr. Anaya, I see you're here. Right now, we're dealing with things that pertain to Ms. Kapoor's case. So we'll be with you in a few minutes. Okay. Thank you. All right. I know we are also awaiting the arrival of your worker.
I am, Judge.
Yes, I did sanction 15 minutes, which was perhaps wishful thinking, to allow her to testify in another court. So we'll await her arrival, and if we need to, we can take a recess. Ms. Constantino, your introduction, please.
Yes, Jen Constantino, attorney for the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians.
Thank you, welcome. All right, Ms. Hennigan, today is the date and time set for a pretrial as it relates to your client. Do you know how you would like to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. I have recently taken over this case for Ms. Wilhelm, and as you can see, Ms. Thomas is also not available today. So I do need some time to read in on this case. I did have a chance to talk with my client this afternoon, and I think that we'll be able to come to a resolution, and a trial will not be necessary. However, I previously spoke with Mr. Amadeo, and we have both agreed that we would like to ask the court to adjourn out the trial that's scheduled for the 18th and 19th. One, for myself to be able to get caught up with the full file, and two, in the event that Mr. Amadeo may need to step in for Ms. Thomas, that he also would have a chance to get caught up on that. We did have a moment to speak with Ms. Heiss earlier while Your Honor was out, and she's indicated she will not object to an adjournment on that.
Welcome, Ms. Harvey. Hi. Good timing. Good, right? All right. So if I adjourn the jury trial from next week, you are going to be looking at I can put you as a backup to another jury trial, but you may be looking at a significant adjournment. So I just want you to be aware of that, just based on the docket.
Mr. Amadeo and I discussed that as well, because we kind of anticipated it, but we also both very, very tight schedules. I actually have 8 jury trials in the next 60 days. So my schedule looks like yours, Your Honor.
Let me just say, certainly not going to stand away the adjournment. If we adjourn it past Malik's birthday, which is November, we have problem with funding past his birthday, from what I understand.
His
placement. So, and from what I understand from your representation, this may not need a trial.
It may not.
So maybe if we came back for a pre-trial in a couple of weeks, that might settle everything. I am just standing in for Ms. Thomas. I don't know how many things I'm going to be standing in for, depending upon what's going on in that situation. So.
Okay, Ms. Hennigan, I can appreciate your frustration with your beautiful shoes, but if you could, and you're welcome to have a seat if you'd like, but I'm going to ask you to keep your shoes on and look for relief perhaps at the end of your day.
Sorry, I didn't realize that you could even see my shoes through there, because most of them go over down. Yeah, I apologize.
and just make sure you're in a jacket for future reference as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Although and that dress is great too, but Mr. Amadeo is going to wear his jacket, and so do the rest of us. All right. Ms. Heiss, what are your thoughts on this as we go?
Thank you, Your Honor. I was able to meet with Mrs. Kapoor and the youngest child, and this family has a lot of strengths. I think that we need a coordinating meeting, because I think our goal to help the older child get funding for his emerging independence, time is of the essence. And I don't think Mrs. Kapoor disagrees, and I don't think she intends to exercise her right to a trial. We all are aiming at the same place, and time is getting to be very important. The little guy has all of his needs met in the placement with his mother. September 5th, I tried to requested a visit with the older child in Detroit, and I am somewhat concerned about that placement. So I do want time to really double check what's going on up there. So I do think an adjournment would serve judicial economy, because I think there's just some misunderstanding, miscommunication, and we can resolve that, but I would ask that the agency be required to set a professionals meeting or a family team meeting by Zoom, maybe within the next 14 days. A lot of strengths for this family, and I think that we can all, I don't think it needs to be adversarial, really. Thank you.
All right. Well, for purposes of jury trial, I can set you as a backup to the Bartelt jury trial on October 30th and 31st of, will that work?
Yeah, and I can tell you, Judge, I will be on Bartelt, and I think if it's a backup, Bartelt's going to settle.
Okay.
So just a heads up. So if we want to resolve it, still before that, because I do think we have to go that day. Even though it's a backup, it will likely go if it had to.
And I have trial in Judge Morgan's court on the 30th and 31st.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to get a jury trial in before November 28th. Unless we can. Well, I take that back. What about November 1st and 2nd? First, second, or third?
The second and third are better for me. I've got medical thing on the first, but I could find coverage as well.
Second and third, I'm available.
Okay, Mr. Amadeo?
We'll make it work, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, all right, so we'll set you then for jury trial, November 2nd and 3rd. So the pretrial, final pretrial then for 11 a.m. on Monday, October 9th. And then the jury trial will commence at 9 a.m. on 11/2 and 11/3. I do accept the reasons provided as a basis for that request for adjournment. Ms. Constantino, I'm sorry, I didn't ask you your opinion on that. Do you find that to be acceptable?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. So we'll reset those dates then for Ms. Before. Anything else I can address for you on your client's case for today?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank
Your
you.
Honor, I'm sorry, from the department, could we order a family team meeting within 14 days?
Absolutely. All right, specific issues again on that, Ms. Heiss, were?
You know, to talk about pleas versus trials and, you know, what the proposed case service plan would include, because I think folks need to know that before they accept jurisdiction. Also to get Mr. Hanaya's attorney involved.
Anything else to add to that, counselors?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I would like the opportunity to participate in that. Ms. Gill will most likely still be on medical leave, so if any notice of that could be sent directly to me rather than to her, that would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, Ms. Harvey, do you have her information?
Yes, I believe Ms. Hanlon does.
Okay, all right, duly noted. Thank you, Ms. Constantino. We appreciate your participation. All right. That's all then as it relates to the pretrial on Ms. Tiffany Before.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may be excused if you wish. Do we know if Mr. Brooks has arrived?
I believe we would see him, but I will check.
Okay. Then Mr. Roberto Anaya, you're welcome to come to our council tables. We're going to be taking up the matters that relate to your case.
And Judge, just so you don't think I'm rude, I'm texting all day because Celeste
It's quite all
is
right.
also out and she's asked me to take notes, which is not my strong suit. So I'm like, as you're talking, I'm texting. I'm not like ordering food or anything like that. It's just so clear.
Our hearings today are on YouTube as well, so if she needs to refresh those, or check your notes. Well, let's go ahead and address what's happening in this file. Are we on record, Ms. Lee?
Yes, we are.
Very good. Okay, so we've had Mr. Anaya join us. Mr. Anaya, your attorney, Mr. Brooks, is not here, but from what I understand from the other attorneys, you're looking to hire private counsel, is that right?
Yes, I wanted to do so at the beginning, but I wasn't financially able to, so now I've reached out, so I am. So I'm gonna, because I still am confused about everything right now. I mean, I don't understand a lot of stuff, and Mr. Brooks is not answering my calls, returning my calls, stuff like that, so I need to take a step for my son and for myself.
Have you actually retained private counsel?
Well, I talked with her at the beginning of this, and she was gung ho for it, and then I went with Mr. Brooks, like I said, because of my finances. But now I'm gonna go down there and hire Ashley. I'm not gonna do this anymore like this.
So are you formally requesting an adjournment then?
Correct.
Counselors?
You know, the only thing I'd say to my worker is we're certainly not going to stand in the way of his right to counsel. But apparently there was a visit this weekend that did go a little bit sideways. They'd like supervised visitation because they had anticipated everything being done today. So we consider supervised visitation until we proceed. That would be the request for the department at this time.
I was late dropping him off. I really, Your Honor, to be honest with you, I pick him up Friday. He's asleep by the time I get home. I spend all day Saturday with them, and then they want him back here by 9 in the morning. So I have to
Okay.
get him up at 7.
Here's what we're gonna do. Hang on, Mr. Nile. We graciously, Ms. Underwood has agreed to stay in case Mr. Brooks was unable to join us, which obviously is the case. So I'd like, if you don't mind, for you to have a few minutes to talk with her to see, if nothing else, about the issue that's come up just now,
Okay.
parenting time. And if you're comfortable with her and she's comfortable, we can conclude the trial today if we need to, or address your request for adjournment further after you've had a chance to talk with her.
Thank you.
And do you need a copy of the pleadings, I'm assuming, Ms. Underwood? That'd help, yes. All right, we're back on record. We've been joined by Ms. Underwood on behalf of Mr. Elia. The record should also reflect we've had a bench conference with all of the attorneys and Ms. Underwood. So why don't we go ahead with any comments on that bench conference, Mr. Amadeo, let's start with you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe Ms. Underwood has a proposal for how parenting time will go until we come back for the next 3 weeks. The one fly in the ointment, Judge, I thought we had under control was where to pick up what occurred. We were told about moving to Blitzfield, but in speaking to Mom, that's not going to be possible. Adrian PD, I would ask that we keep things maintained as they were and just change the amount of time that respondent father could see the child per Ms. Underwood's request, but keep everything else in place for now. And then come back in 3 weeks and see where we're at. I believe this will get resolved, I think.
All right, we've discussed at sidebar coming back on October 9th ahead of the final pretrial as it relates to Ms. Kapoor's case commencing at 10 a.m. for the remainder of Mr. Anaya's trial. So let's go ahead with any comments you might have, Ms. Underwood.
Yes, Judge, at this point in time, my client is seeking an adjournment in order to look into hiring private counsel as well as filing a petition in a custody file that would potentially alleviate the issues in this case. The parties, or in the interim, I would propose that my client receive parenting time every Saturday from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. with the pickup and drop off being at the Adjournment Police Department until the hearing in October.
We have no objection to that, Your Honor. I guess the only 2 questions I have is, we were told 11 a.m. on the 9th. Will that time change? So maybe 10 a.m.?
It's, if you've got a reference there, Ms. Underwood.
I think I have. I don't think either time is an issue for me, so whatever works best for.
And I guess the next question is, are you going to be the lawyer moving forward? Because if I'm on this case, should I be communicating with you or Ashley Hanson-Grimes?
Well, you'll have to communicate with Ms. Underwood until and unless we receive an actual substitution and appearance from Ms. Hanson-Grimes.
But I understand trying to coordinate a schedule and then having to adjourn
Right.
if there's another attorney on the matter.
Well, I wouldn't speak directly to your client. They're both excellent attorneys, but whoever you pick, the quicker you pick someone,
Right.
the quicker I can communicate with them to try to get this thing moving. Okay, so
Is there any-
My client's asking if we could extend the parenting time from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. since we'll be doing the transportation to and from Toledo.
the only concern for the department is bedtime, Joyce. I'll leave that to your discretion. But there's no formal objection to that.
9 to 9?
The child's
Ms.
an
Constantine?
early riser, 8 to 8 would work too. If dad is agreeable to that or no.
9 to 9 works better. I think.
Okay,
With it being a weekend, I think 9
Saturday,
PM should be
Saturday.
okay.
Got Sunday to rest.
Okay, Ms. Constantino, did you wish to add anything in about the proposed temporary parenting time?
As long as parenting time is occurring, I think it's a fair compromise and we would not object.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, the department will continue to be required to make active efforts in this particular case, and I will accept the temporary parenting time order and grant the adjournment to October 9th to allow Mr. Anaya time to consider filing for custody and or securing private counsel. But unless and until I get a substitution for Ms. Underwood, we'll consider her the attorney for Mr. Anaya moving forward. All other orders will remain in full force and effect. And unless there's any questions, that's all for today.
I do see, Judge, that there's an unknown address on the petition. My client says his address hasn't changed. It's updated with FOC. Should we ensure that that address is updated on the record so that he can receive all further notices?